So just starting that now. Yes, welcome Isabel Schueler. Is that correct?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So she's been in the lung transplant space for over a year now. Currently working well, I don't know if this is out of date yet, but currently working on her presentation for the National Allied Health Conference that looks at reducing wait times for OP nutrition referrals for post-lung transplant patients. And Isabel's part of the Australia-New Zealand Dietitians Working Group, which aims to improve and standardise nutrition education interventions across the countries. Her favourite part of the job is building long-term relationships with patients. Outside of work, she enjoys travelling, with a recent trip to South Africa and Zimbabwe. That would have been great. And is an avid runner and the above trip including the Big Five Marathon.
Good.
So you're very welcome to add anything else to that.
Oh no, thank you. I think that was actually, yeah, it was a good summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of the National Allied Health Conference, that's coming up actually, and that looked at basically outpatient times. And when I came into this job, I think we had 120-ish patients on the outpatient waiting list, and we were able to reduce that to zero by the end of 3 months. So that's it looks at streamlining that process that we've now put in for lung transplant patients here at the Alfred. So that's being presented there. We're asked one thing we are also working on, which I'm sure you guys will have questions today, is the food safety booklet. That is obviously an ongoing. We've been editing it for a while now. We've obviously been having a lot of feedback and things like that. So we are hopefully by the end of this year going to get that republished and reevaluated.
Yeah. And is that something that's across all the transplant centres?
Yeah, well, what's really interesting is that we are actually the only transplant centre that has a booklet. Every other transplant centre usually uses other guidelines, and they're wanting ours, or they're wanting to look at ours to establish theirs. So in all of Australia, there's us, New South Wales, WA, and Queensland, I think, that do transplants, and obviously some in Christchurch or Auckland, I think it is. But it's only us and Queensland who have outpatient nutrition and pre-transplant nutrition, is I think what I understand. So there is very limited nutrition input across Australia with New Zealand with transplant education in the nutrition space.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm very mindful of your time and how long we've allocated. So maybe we just go straight into the questions. And if anyone's got a question they'd like to add into the chat, that's another way to do it. And we can go and have a look at any that you might have put in there. But I've got a few backup questions if we don't have any, but I'm pretty sure we will. So who would love to kick off? Who's been waiting to ask
I've
Isabel
got
something?
a question we mentioned last time we were together is that a lot of us suffer from a lot of skin cancers, and we've now been put on acitretin to reduce the skin cancers. Apparently, it stops any new ones, hopefully, and then we work our way through the old ones, and we'll be free of it, hopefully, in not too long a period of time. I'm up to 7 10 ml capsules a week, and I was just wondering, is more better if I was to take a few more through the week?
Yeah, what's it called, Jeff? What was the tablet called?
Acitretin.
Acitrec. What's it,
Acitretin.
what's it got in it? I haven't actually heard about it.
Okay, it's for cirrhosis, I think, of the skin, and apparently, its research has shown it to be very good for reducing skin cancers. ACITRETIN.
ACIT.
RETIN.
Oh, yeah.
There is a big long word for it as well, but we call it acitretin.
Yeah. Jeff, it might be a question more for the pharmacist, I think, because Isabel's more around food and nutrition. So maybe that's one you could take offline to your specialist, I think.
Yeah.
And then we'll stick more with things like, if people have got food issues when it comes to sort of tablets, maybe, intolerances, looking at managing weight with nutrition, those kinds of things, food that's good for you. If your kidneys are a bit up and down in your tests, what's helpful there. Those sort of questions I think would be really good for Isabel to focus on, because that's going to be her expertise. Food safety, obviously, with the booklet. So we'll take that one offline. But does anyone else have anything sort of more dietary related?
I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
If no one else is going to ask, that book you were talking about, Isabel, maybe that's widely available and I just haven't come across it, or maybe it's not. I haven't come across it. I'm interested to see that. But I had my last appointment with the Alfred people, Dr. The tall, grey-headed gentleman. What's his name? Glenn.
Westall, yeah.
Westall, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about my BMI being sort of right on the end that it shouldn't be, and they want me under 30% BMI. I understand all that and that kind of thing, and they sort of keep saying lose weight, and I'm not, I'm 5'8". There's not a lot of weight. There's not. I'm 5'8". I'm medium build, 100 and about 85 kilos or something, and it's very difficult for me to lose this, or very difficult for me to shift weight at the moment. And it's I'm exercising, I'm dieting. I've lost like 6 kilos since the late last year, and and managed to keep it off and that sort of thing. And I'm really mindful of my diet. And I know there's no magic pill, there's no magic sort of potion to that you can take to sort of make you lose more weight. Other than just hard work, really, being sensible and common sense prevailing. Do you have any, apart from common sense, because I think I know most of that, have you got any advice?
What, if you don't mind, I guess it's more around, like you just talked about, you're physically active, you eat and drink well. Yeah. I think they're some of the most important things. You said you'd already had some weight loss. Yeah. I think also it's important to keep in mind, if you did have any more weight loss, is that going to be muscle or is it going to be fat mass? And I think it's important to hold muscle mass, because we know muscle mass is so related to lung function. And I guess that's probably, like, from my point of view, you sound really well, actually, from a nutrition perspective. I guess it'd be more as if, it's hard to say with BMI in a sense, because we'd like to ideally do a physical assessment to see if you held more muscle. And if that is the case, we don't tend to look at BMI as much.
Well, they did that. They did last time I was at the Alfred. Sorry to interrupt. Last time I was at the Alfred in April, one of the ladies, she might have been doing your job. She came in and she put me on that machine, which can
the BIA machine.
Yeah, can work out what's fat, what's muscle, and nothing came back. I did the thing or whatever, nothing came back. So I assume everything was okay.
Yeah, and I think we have the results, and I can always share them with you privately if you want to have a look at them.
Yeah.
We do only look at fat-free muscle index. So essentially we just look at your overall, or try to look at your overall muscle mass, which is a good indicator of your conditioning before transplant, is what we tend to look at. In terms of BMI, that would definitely, I feel like, would be a discussion in terms of a BMI of 25 versus a BMI of 29, BMI of 30. They're not actually regular. They're not something that nutrition decide on. It's a surgical point of view. So we can, in terms of weight loss, we can give you certain personalized strategies towards weight loss. We do like to monitor patients before transplant quite regularly, just because we're so mindful. Sometimes when patients start to drop weight, they just lose a lot of weight. So sometimes it can be we go, okay, we lose, say the aim is 5 kilos. Sometimes it ends up being 20 kilos weight loss, because then it becomes uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in that pre-transplant acute phase where you are so unwell, it is really risky. Whereas in the post-transplant phase, it's a lot less risky, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, just one of the another. It's actually a friend of a friend who's been a GP now. He's a specialist, has been for a long time, been a doctor for a long time, and he sort of even suggested that going into the operation is probably having a couple of kilos on you extra. Probably not a bad idea, because when you do have the initial surgery and you have the first 2 or 3 days in ICU, you're likely to lose weight anyway. And I know he's generalising there, but yeah.
Yeah, look, I probably I see that frequently from the deep, and it's not necessarily because we're not adequately feeding you, it's because you end up being deconditioned, because you're literally going to be intubated and lying there, so you're not going to be using your muscle mass.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad idea. It isn't a bad thing having an extra few kilos on board that you're able to lose, because it does basically, it's a safety net essentially. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I know, Andrew, it was a difficult question. Does that help answer?
Yeah, and it's a very broad question. I don't really want to tie up too much time for the other people that want to ask questions. But yeah, it's just something that's been like I feel fit, I feel strong, I feel really stable physically and all that sort of thing. But they just keep, they just I'm trying to take doctors' advice, because it's really important, of course. But just these getting down to 83 kilos right now with the energy levels I've got to cook and the last thing people want to do when they're tired is diet. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe that book might help. But I mean, like I know what I'm about as far as weight management's concerned.
Yeah, but if you feel like you need some extra advice, we're more than welcome to have like a telehealth and book you in, because you're on our list, which means that I can see you pre-transplant if you wanted to go through something personally. That's so fine. We can definitely organise that to make sure you're doing everything on the right path.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Isabel. Is that just on that? What access do we have as transplant patients? Obviously, we know that it's Victoria and Queensland that have the dietitians, but in terms of, say, the Alfred, is there it's standard that all the pre-transplant patients have a session or a couple of sessions with you, or is this something we have to request, like post-transplant? How does that all work?
Yeah, so it's kind of evolved in the past year or so, and will continue to kind of change pending on funding and things like that. And also from workload point of view. So pre-transplant, we do see you if you are a staged assessment, and we'll see you once that'll be about an hour or so. And if we pick up on anything that we need to highlight and you are listed, we will continue to see you every so often. So for instance, if you are in that underweight BMI category, we may have to do some tube feeds. We might do high protein drinks, those kinds of things. So those kind of nutrition interventions to make sure we can get you to transplant, essentially. If you are nutritionally, there's no red flags, and you are if you are listed, we can still see you. It's more in the post-transplant phase. We see you for a year after. And there are certain conditions we do keep patients, and we do see patients regularly. There are some nutrition referrals that we do send to the community, because it's only myself, so I don't have capacity to hold on to everyone. So things, if you're like a year post-transplant and you're wanting some weight management advice, we do have the Baker Institute next door that do meal plans and weight management, things like that, a really safe environment, and type 2 diabetes and those kind of generalised nutrition input. And they specialise in that. So we usually refer to our close community dietitians there. Mm-hmm. Things like conditions like gastroparesis and cystic fibrosis, where you keep those patients just because they are high risk of clinical deterioration. So, and we are able to provide like a CF service as well. So we do keep those kind of complex patients. And even if the other thing is, if you have had a recent admission, we can see you once in the outpatient setting to make sure everything's okay. Mm-hmm. So we have that criteria in place, and the medical team obviously are aware of it. And yeah, does that help answer that question, Wendy?
It does, yes. No, that's good to know. I didn't know about the Baker Institute doing more than that. I know they do the diabetes. I've kind of come across some of their research into that, but didn't realise there were potential
And they do offer telephone and telehealth. So if you are in the middle, say for those that do live in places like Mildura or Burubadonga and things like that, they do offer that service, which is really great. Like it's and I think they do it. There's even like it's subsidised at some point. I know through certain enhanced care plans, if you do have that with your GP, you are able to get discounts on things like that as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. All right. Well, I've still got some of my questions, but I'm sure you all have others. So anyone else got a question they'd like to ask Isabel? Yep, Jane?
So just in terms of gut health, Isabel, I know there's a lot of focus now, emphasis on improving the health of our gut. So just from your perspective, what would be the top foods we should try and integrate to our diet, given obviously some of us experience disruption from some of the medications and antibiotics in particular?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I think antibiotics is one of the main things that, not only disrupts your gut flora, but gives you a bit of diarrhea, nauseation, bit of vomiting sometimes, pending the type of antibiotic. So things like your fermented foods are great, your pre and your pro, your naturally found pre and probiotics, so your onions, your garlics, your cabbage, all your fermented foods and what I call the foods that make you fart essentially are the good foods for your gut, because the reason why you do is because they break down and they sit in your large intestine and they ferment. And the reason why we essentially like pass wind is because they produce gas. So it's actually a good thing when we do that has happened, because it means that we're basically refertilizing our microbiota or our gut bacteria. So your yogurts, your kefir, your fermented cheeses, your sauerkraut, your kimchi, your onions, your garlics, those kinds of foods, great for your gut.
Yeah. That's
right.
So with kimchi, no, not kimchi. What's the one that they use? It's like a yeast base. It's one of the drinks, kombucha or something. Are we allowed to have that, or is that going to have a live something in it that we're not supposed to be having?
No, you're more than welcome to buy kombucha off the shelf. It's more so your homemade kombucha. We just don't know how much bacteria is in it.
Yeah.
Whereas at least when it's off the shelf, they're actually safe. And especially in Australia, we have one of the safest food standards in the world, same as New Zealand. So most things that you buy at the supermarket will actually be okay.
All right. Jane, did you have anything further about that one, about the gut health that you wanted, or has that covered your question? Yeah.
All covered, thanks.
Okay, cool. Anyone else have a question?
Yep, I'll jump in. So Isabel, I do Metamucil every morning.
Beautiful.
Is that good? No issues to do it?
No issues. That's great. That's a probiotic or a prebiotic.
Yeah, yeah. So along with that, multivitamins, Cal 600, Vita D are all part of it. When they say multivitamin, what's a suitable multivitamin to be taking?
Yeah, a suitable multivitamin. Honestly, multivitamins are pretty not harmful, unless if it's a general multivitamin. Something like your strong ones, like a Vita Abdec, is too strong because they've got huge amounts of vitamins in there for certain reasons. But something like your multivitamin, like Cenovus, is a brand that's off the shelf. Is actually probably not harmful if all of your blood levels are fine. And the reason being, it's just, it's not as strong and it's just a generalized form. It's got little amounts. And I'm sure you probably all recently, I don't know if you guys have all seen, there's been an ad kind of on the news about vitamin Bs and blackmores. Yeah, Wendy, you're nodding. Yeah. So it's those specific tablets like your vitamin B or your vitamin A, which we recommend people not to take because there's huge amounts in there. But if you're just wanting to take a multivitamin, that's really safe, and we don't mind patients taking that because there's not enough units or enough grams in there to interact with your meds. So if you wanted to have a Blackmores or a Cenovus or any of those brands, that's totally fine.
And what about protein shakes? Like for breakfast, twice a week I have a protein shake, mainly because I need something to drink my meds with, and I'll use that to drink my meds with. But sort of protein shakes in lieu of breakfast, and that's all good to have still? Most
of your protein shakes are probably okay. The only ones we do kind of flag are ones that contain creatine. So on the back of the label, it'll have creatine is CREATINE. And that's because that certain chemical does interact with some medications, so we get patients to avoid those protein powders. It does depend on the brand. If patients come to me, I do recommend specific brands that tend to have a lot less additives in there. Like you'll see a lot of the back of the protein powders will have like L-glutamine and all those different types of amino acids. So people with renal issues probably shouldn't go on those certain protein powders. They should have ones that we do recommend, just because sometimes they do play with your renal function and things like that. So it really is patient dependent, but that's usually the main one post-transplant that we say avoid anything with that in it. So usually your supermarket ones are okay. It's more so the chemist ones because they're all different ranges. Sometimes the safest protein shakes are usually like the ones in the dairy aisle at Woolies and Coles, like the Rockaby protein shakes, or there's another brand that's also there that's pretty safe, or like a Big M or something like that.
Yeah, we use Isogenics, which when I brought it in when I first started, and they said, "Yep, checked it all to make sure it was okay."
Oh, that should be fine.
Yeah.
If you've just given us the brand, usually we just look it up, unless we know it off by heart, and then we're like, "Yep, that's totally fine." Yeah.
Last question, and this is probably the most important one for the night. I can have a red wine each night, can't I?
Yeah, you can have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will.
Thank you.
Flag and you can have a wine every so often. That's fine.
Yeah,
You got the sign off.
always got to have my red wine every night. Well, not every night, but yeah.
What about 3 beers and a glass of whiskey?
Yeah.
3 beers and a glass of whiskey. That one I cannot say yes to. You'd have to bring that up with the consultants because I don't think I can get away with saying yes or no.
Let's drop the beer and keep with the whiskey.
Well, I love my whiskey and red wine, but they don't like me anymore, so I don't know. Stop drinking them
I think
altogether.
maybe the beer is the fermentation process, maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more. We were told when we had the transplant, you're typically a pregnant woman. Eating steaks where they've gone from medium to well done. Is it still the requirement, like 7 years in, doesn't matter, I suppose, how long you're in? What is the best steak to have cooked? Do you need to have it well done all the time? Obviously, you don't get it raw or rare, but
look, the chances of you 7 years, if your medication has been titrated to the lowest amount, and you I guess in a sense, if your medication's lowered that much, it's less likely for you to get sick. So you actually probably could get away with having a medium steak.
Yeah,
it's more so in those early 12 months phases when we're like, no, just don't play the Russian roulette with it.
Just,
take it easy. Whereas, look, 7 years post-transplant, if you've been on the same medication, you're not coming back in and getting pulse, then you'll probably be fine.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. It's obviously just like,
Yeah, but within reason as well. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like you wouldn't go and eat a raw steak, but you'd at least cook. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no Wagyu.
And what's your theory? What's your approach on sushi or sashimi and raw fish and things?
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting one. I think it's depending where you are in terms of your health journey and like if your medication is lowered, and whether you because the lower you go, obviously the less immunosuppressed you are. So if you're getting sick or you've got the flu, I wouldn't probably have a go at it. But like in terms of sushi, I say to patients, if you're 12 months post, your medication's been titrated down, you just ask them to make it fresh for you. If they've got cooked chicken, it's probably more the insides of the sushi. Is it the chicken cooked, where have they got the fish from, that kind of thing, is probably more of the question rather than the rice itself. I always say sometimes you can make it fresh, or if you know they've got it all fresh that morning, it's fine. Like you can have some sushi and have, if they've deep fried their prawns or whatever, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll answer that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I'm 18 years out, so I'm a bit more adventurous with my food, I like to call it.
You should be, and you should be out there enjoying food. I know a lot of people were told to avoid a lot of deli meats and things like that. We now say patients can have deli meat if it's from the packet. So if ham and salami, have it from the packet because, you know, as I was saying, we've got great food standards. Like they could not put contaminated food in the packet. The reason why we say it's a deli is we just don't know how it's been handled as well.
Yeah.
Like, are people touching it without gloves kind of thing? That's more where that comes from. And it is to do a lot actually with the handling, not the food itself. So things like oysters, if you are 18 years post-transplant, and you're having them like, say they're fresh off the boat, like where some people live, that should be fine. Like that's pretty healthy. Like there's no issues. It's more if you got it from like a market and it's 30 degrees in the middle of the day and it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon, you're like, this could be a hit or a miss. So it's more about that kind of food, the practice itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it is something you have to keep in mind, isn't it? Because I remember once I was out shopping, I was in Box Hill, I think, and running a bit late and I hadn't had lunch and it was about 2 o'clock and I made the, major mistake as a transplant patient of going to the food court and getting a California roll out of a Bain Marie and ended up with salmonella poisoning and in hospital for 6 days. So that was the rice, and they actually shut the place down because there were other people that had also caught it as well. So it got to the Department of Health. And so I'm very cautious now about doing anything that's been sitting around, and that was a good wake-up call reminder.
Yeah, and I think too, you're probably just really unlucky because other people got sick that probably weren't immunosuppressed.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
So do you know what I mean? Like whether you're immunosuppressed or not, like they
might have got sick anyway. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like you because you are immunosuppressed, you just got sicker for longer, whereas they would have gotten over it in 48 hours, which is what's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions from people? Yeah. I was going to ask just as a follow-up on Craig's questions about the protein powders, because I've often thought about doing, one of those diet shakes occasionally, or just when I'm in a hurry, it'd be nice just to have a quick shake. And I remember being told I wasn't allowed to have prebiotics or probiotics, but I think they're more the powder versions. Is that right? So we can have it if it's a natural food, but are we allowed to have anything that has full of probiotics or full of prebiotics?
It depends what it is. Like, if there's a certain brand that you're after, we will just look through it. Because different brands will have different things. So it's very like,
I think it's more because they were concerned that it would improve my immune system, and obviously we're wanting to keep our immune systems crappy. So I think that was where it was coming from, but it's a long time since.
We would also look at how, obviously, like what your levels are in terms of the immunosuppression. And I think it depends on the amount of prebiotics. So that's why we look at the amounts that are in there. Sometimes it's only tiny amounts, and other times it's huge amounts. And that's why the capsules, when you take and because the pharmaceutical capsules, there's no regulation to it. So they can put whatever they like in there and call it whatever they like, as long as it's a certain amount, certain product. They have to say, oh, this is in there, but they can say, it's good for gut health, but like one that has 1 million in there and one that has 10 in there can be the same advertising. So we would just have a look and see how much is in there, and we would be like, okay, that should be fine, kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you work with Steve, the pharmacist, and other pharmacists and compare things that interact? And
and they come and ask me, they're like, oh, why are we sending them home on this? Are we not going to do this? And I say, oh, they've been on zinc for like over the recommended 8 weeks. We should probably stop the zinc and those kinds of things. So we do, I think I asked one of the pharmacists a question the other day and she was actually unsure. And so we kind of just have to do our own kind of looking up on our certain websites and things like that. And we do definitely talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Isabel, just one more question about just along the lines of what we can drink. Herbal teas. Are there any we have to steer away from, or?
I don't think so, unless it's got like what's that? Is it pomegranate? Is the one, or not pomegranate? What's the grapefruit?
Grapefruit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Grapefruit. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, we like a grapefruit, or like some people, I don't know if cranberry is one of them, but those tend to be the most ones that we say stay away from. But most of your teas, Jane, should be fine.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
The only advice I got once when we were in a Japanese restaurant, I was having my tablets with green tea, and the owner of the place, we used to go there regularly, he came rushing over and he growled at me for having my tablets with green tea. He said, in Japan, we would never do that because it could interact with the medicines. And so from then on, I never had it with green tea, but it made me think, oh, maybe there's, yeah, like Jane's saying, there's some that aren't appropriate to have with them. But I don't know if you've ever heard that one.
Look, I haven't heard that one either, but I think, if you are eating, it'd be different if you had it on an empty stomach with some tea. I'd be like, maybe there would be some changes. But if you've got a tummy that's, being fed food, then I think that's totally fine. Like, you don't sit there and drink gallons of green tea. If you did, that would be a red flag, but it's not like, you're drinking it every day, 6 cups.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay,
So
good.
moderation, yeah.
Yeah.
Isabel, I was going to do a top 5, but we're probably running out of time. What's your top 3 do's and your top 3 don'ts as a dietitian?
Oh, that's
two recipients, obviously.
That's a really good question. Okay, now my top 3 do's would be like, make sure you have a variety in your diet. So always include, your discretionary products. So always include some chockies, some lollies, you've got to live kind of thing.
Yeah.
One of my other do's is make sure that you have a plate with a lot of colour. I always like having a lot of colour on my plate. And my third one would be like making sure you have some carbs, some protein, and a decent amount of fat on your plate. So when I say decent, like I believe a quarter of your plate. So that could be healthy fat. So if some of it's like your dressing's olive oil, or if you've got some avocado, things like that, nuts and seeds are still really good for you. And then my 3 don'ts would be like, if you're unsure about something, probably don't have it. My second one is, if you are starting any sort of supplement, whether that be from the chemist or protein powder, just shoot us an email. We can answer it. Either myself or one of the other dietitians can. And my third one, what's my other don't? I don't know, actually. I think that would be my top 2.
That's fine. Yeah.
Hopefully that was...
That's good. Thank you. Yeah, no, it does. Well, it's interesting to hear from you instead of us all the time. So what we ask the question, but what you think we should be doing and definitely don't do. So, yeah.
Just quickly, what about swimming in public pools? Is it sort of still a no-no until you're, 10 years out, or?
Oh, that would be a good question. I reckon that's a question for the nurses, because I wouldn't know about the risk of public pools. That is a really good question though, because I know we get tap water and tank water all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know about public pools actually, but I would definitely, ask one of the consultants or one of the nurses, because they would have that information for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Maybe one of our posts that Jane and I can do. We can find out some answers to these.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of time. We've gone a bit over. Do you have 4 more minutes or so, Isabel, before you have to disappear? Okay, so we've got time for a couple more questions. Anyone else got anything else they'd like to ask?
I've got one, but I'm mindful I've already had a question. So if someone wants one first, I'm happy to wait.
No, I think we'll have time if there is. So you go first.
Yeah, just following up for another question is, do you have any advice on people that are craving sugar and salt? Is there pretty common for people that are trying to manage weight? Any suggestions about what you could add to your diet that could suppress those or help with that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I know post-transplant, a lot of people struggle with that because of the steroids. If you are struggling with that, even things like diet drinks, like it's okay to have Diet Coke or sugar-free Coke or any of those kinds of sugar-free lollies, all those types of things. In terms
not in my house. Don't tell my kids that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No. So fun. But those things do help crave, and it's actually increased in our grocery store at the moment. So now it's a bit easier. Like in terms of, I know some people have sugar-free lemonade or sugar-free Gatorade or Powerade, things like that, because it potentially tastes pretty similar. If not, I think it tastes the same, but some people are quite taste sensitive. So trying those things. The The only thing I don't recommend is sugar-free chocolate because I don't think that tastes good. But the lollies actually taste pretty similar, so that's a good option. In terms of salt, yeah, that can be difficult. If you are craving salt, it might be a question more of dehydration itself. And we would definitely look at that and see in terms of your kidneys as well, because obviously excess salt causes fluid retention. So we would definitely, before recommending to take anything like salt tablets or things like that, we would have a look. In terms of substituting with salt, a lot of foods or products from the supermarket already have added sodium in them. So things like, if you are craving salt, maybe going towards things like adding some salt-reduced soya sauce in there. I know that can be quite salty, or using some sort of sauces, herbs and spices can help in terms of reducing the salt cravings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there that kind of help answer your question, or is there any question you have after that, or?
No, it's just a tough one. I think it's a tough one for anybody, and to be able to I don't know. I mean, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't know whether if I do have any sugar or salt cravings, whether it's just naturally, whether it's just my situation, or whether it's something that's happening with the mixture of the whole lifestyle I'm going through and the drugs and the medication I'm on and that sort of thing, plus all the the other stuff going on in my body that I don't know about because I'm not a doctor. So that's a tough one. So any advice is welcome.
Yeah, it is hard. It's definitely it's really difficult because I know it would be a constant mental battle for a lot of people, being like, I've got these cravings, but I can't kind of do anything. Like you obviously want to have something to eat, but then you're like, oh, I've been told to lose weight. So it's a very difficult position, and we do understand that it's not easy at times, and it can be really mentally challenging. Yeah.
You mentioned kidneys before, Isabel. So what foods are good for our kidneys and livers? Because we are all mindful of those because we know the tablets can impact them. So there are certain things which we can do to help in there. Or is it more water that's kind of a good thing to look at?
Yeah, definitely having enough fluids. Like they will tell you to drink as much fluid, like have quite a bit. And that's just because obviously the tacro really can hurt your kidneys and essentially land you up in hospital. For kidneys, it depends on the patient. So some people will have end-stage renal failure, so that would be a different kind of education we would do with them than someone on peritoneal, and even someone on hemodialysis would be different as well. And it would really depend on whether we thought, whether restricting certain micronutrients would help with their renal symptoms. So sometimes with patients we do like low phosphate or low potassium diets because of their fluctuating electrolytes with their kidneys, and kidneys can't filter it properly. But for the general healthy population, it's just the same as your lungs. It's just general healthy eating essentially, and making sure you get enough fluids in.
Yeah. And what is the recommended fluid, or does it vary depending on the person, how much exercise you're doing? And like, I think they used to talk about 3 litres, and I was like, oh, that's hard to get in.
Yeah, it's huge amounts, but it's around 2.5-ish.
2.5.
Yeah, I mean, usually it depends on your own body weight. So usually we would go 35 mils to 40 mils per kilo per day. Okay. So essentially say for like say for your average, like say it's a 70 kilo person times 35, it'd give you about 2.5 litres a day at the bottom range. So but this also includes not just water, that includes things like your teas, your coffee, your juices, all that kind of extra fluid, your milk drinks, so it all adds up at the end of the day. And it is really hard. Like I struggle to drink myself. So, and I'm a dietitian.
Yeah.
I still have to have I still put electrolytes in my drink just so it tastes nice, because otherwise I don't get that thirsty. So
can you buy electrolyte powder that has a taste, can you? And add, because I buy the electrolyte sugar-free drinks, and I use those if it's particularly hot or I know I'm struggling with my liquid intake. But what sort of things are you adding to your water?
Oh, sometimes I add just hydrolyte.
Oh, yeah, the
I just like hydrolyte or like IV hydration. They have sachets of that at the chemist, and that's okay. to keep hydrated, that's totally fine. Things like your mineral water, your carbonated mineral waters are okay. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
All those flavored things are actually okay to drink. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions before we wrap up? No, that's been great. You've covered all sorts of topics there, which is really good. And we'll have this as a recording for those who couldn't make it, because I know a few people sent me notes saying that they couldn't jump on today. So that will be very handy. And if people do want to get a personalised help, or they've got a question about a particular shake or whatever, are they best to go and talk to their specialist at the next appointment, or do you have a dietitian, like, phone number or email that can be sent, or does it always have to be routed through?
Yeah.
You got an email?
It's the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have an email. So if you are having an upcoming appointment, with one of the consultants, you're more than welcome, or even one of the nurses or whoever, that it doesn't really matter if it's physio, they can put through a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise we have lung dietitians at alfred.org.au. Or you're more than welcome, even if it's just a question and you're like, oh, I don't know about this or this product, we actually answer that as well through email address, and that's really helpful too, because if you just send through questions, sometimes through the email, we're able to get back to you a bit quicker than going through sometimes other channels.
Yeah.
So, and if we feel like we need to book you in, I'm more than happy to do that. We'll just send you a message, give you a call or whatnot. We do, my days for post-transplant are Monday, Friday, and my pre-transplant days are Thursday.
Okay, great. So it might be a couple of days before you get a reply, unless you're in, or you're not super busy.
Yeah.
Just for the recording, I think it comes up, but I'll just read out. So it's lung dietitians at alfred.org.au, and it's dietitians with 2 T's.
Oh,
sometimes no, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, because sometimes dietitian is spelt with a
it's with a T, not 2 T's. Yeah. Sometimes it's spelled with a C. That's the American version. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what the difference was. Okay, so dietitians with 2 T's in Australia. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for giving us extra time and answering all our questions. And now we know that we can ask more if we need to. But I think you've covered a lot, today. So we really appreciate that. And we will be sending you out one of our famous lions.
Oh, cute!
He's on the way. So yes, thank you again, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, that was really nice. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, Isabel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.